Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Test Tube Plus today for episode 5 of 5 on health and fitness. We're talking about how being fit can actually help you get through your day, through your week, have a better sex life. We're talking about how people are better at fitness because maybe genetics. You should check out our other episodes, is what I'm saying. We've done 4 episodes so far on health and fitness. Make sure you watch those. But before we get into today's episode about the limit to human athleticism, I want to remind you of something super exciting that's happening. My other show, D News, where we talk about science every single day in short little episodes, is having a live stage show called D News After Dark. It's going to be a great show with a bunch of different TED speakers and some of my best friends from D News. It's going to be on October 22nd here in San Francisco at the famous Castro Theater. It's a whole evening of science. We're going to talk about the far side of the moon. We're going to have scientific illusions. We're going to talk about creepy sounds and why they're creeping us out so much. I'm going to MC it. We got a bunch of really cool speakers coming in. You can check the link in the description for tickets. They're going fast, so make sure you grab one now and bring your friends. It should be really fun. I hope to see you there. But let's get back into this. Is there a limit to human athleticism? What is the upper genetic stopping point? Are we as good as we're ever going to get? You know, what's the fastest that a human can run or jump or swim or whatever? Right now, the fastest human in the world is Usain Bolt. He can run the 100 meter in 9.58 seconds, the 200 meter in 19.9 seconds. That's just shy of about 28 miles an hour. It sounds pretty impressive, right? That's an amazing speed. There is no way that I could run anywhere close to that fast. However, a house cat can run 30 miles an hour. So yes, it's fast, but when you put it in perspective of other animals, we're not that fast. In swimming, Michael Phelps, he's pretty fast, and he can go about 4.4 miles an hour. That's a world record. It's faster than a goldfish, but not as fast as like a shark. So we're pretty fast, but not that fast. And when you think about jumping, Javier Sotomayor is a Cuban, and he can jump 2.45 meters. He did that in 1993. It's a little over 8 feet. That's really, really high. Think of your tallest friend, because Javier can just leap right over him. He could clear Shaq or Yao Ming or LeBron. No big deal. No problem. Kangaroos, though, they can jump 3.1 meters, so a bit higher than Javier. But they are kangaroos. I mean, look at those legs. The point is here that records are important. It's important to know who the fastest is right now. But we're not that fast across the board. And additionally, all of these records are going to be broken. We can keep breaking records again and again and again. But what we're really doing is making the environment more in our favor than we are making better humans. Yes, humans today who are the fastest or the strongest or jump the highest have probably trained a lot longer than humans were doing so 60 years ago. But on top of that, they're also training in facilities that are designed to improve everything about them, everything that they're doing. It's not so much that we're making our species better, but what we are doing is getting better technology to wrap ourselves in. So when we talk about going faster, we're using today lighter bikes than we were using in old biking records from earlier in the 20th century. We're using deeper swimming pools than we used to use, which have less of a current running through them as you're splashing back and forth. On top of that, we're using swimming pools and not swimming through lakes. Fiberglass pole vaulting poles instead of things made of wood or bamboo. Synthetic tracks rather than running on dirt or on pavement. We're running on rubbery track that literally bounces back at us. The environment is manufactured to push us forward, to help us achieve the highest potential of what we're putting out. Even clothing design and materials is being worked at to try and make us get every possible minute piece of watt of energy that we're putting out into the world. So a great example is at the 2008 China Games. The Speedo swimsuit, the LZR bodysuit, was being worn by some of the swimmers. Pro swimmers from a bunch of different countries said that they could not win a gold if they weren't wearing the Speedo LZR bodysuit. Now, if you know anything about the Olympics, Nike was a sponsor, so they sponsored a lot of the swimmers, but they still allowed their swimmers to wear this LZR bodysuit. Now, that suit is a spin-off of NASA technology. It reduces skin friction drag 24% more than previous Speedo racing suits, and it actually compresses the body, which improves efficiency another 5%. It takes multiple people to get the swimmer into the suit and then get it closed because it squeezes you into it. On top of that, the LZR Racer has potential to reduce skin friction drag. It's actually slicker than human skin. So if you're wearing this, not only do you have a mechanical advantage, you're compressed and you're ready to go, but you have a lower coefficient of drag, you are literally better than a completely smooth, naked human. Your coefficient of friction against the water is less. I don't think that's very fair to compare wearers of something slicker than human skin to athletes from the 50s, 60s, 80s, 90s, even just a few years before. They could not have achieved that level of slickness even if they were a stronger or a better swimmer. It wouldn't be possible. There's more to competition than whether or not we have the best technology, though. There are also more programs for people who are doing these sports for a living. There's more sponsors now. There's more people who are involved in getting people into fitness and more people to support athletics. That's great. That's really good for people who want to do these things, and this is what they want their life to be. We're more athletically focused as a culture than we were 50 years ago. There are larger groups of people trying different sports, which increases competition, gets people more exciting, and gets more visibility for sports like disc golf. I know a professional disc golfer. Who would have said that in the 90s? Probably a few people, but not that many. And each generation is setting new records and new standards for the next generation. We're pushing it harder, and we're pushing it harder, and we're pushing it harder. And every generation just gets a little bit better. But how good can we get? I mean, humans can still do better. Science says that we may not have reached our full potential. Using running as an example, I could never get past the 6-minute mark on my mile, even when I was at the peak of my game now. Don't even want to tell you what it is. But it's not about how fast you move your legs, which is what a lot of people think. You just move your legs faster and you go faster. But that's not really what it is. Elite runners and average people move their legs close to the same. But elite runners' feet hit the ground for less time. Elite runners have longer strides, taking fewer steps with more power. The average person's foot is on the ground for about 0.12 seconds. An Olympic sprinter's foot is on the ground for just 0.08 seconds. That's a 33% difference. And then when you take into account the fact that the Olympic sprinter probably has better equipment, is running on a brand new or a really good track, they're getting a whole different experience than somebody who's running just out in a field somewhere, running around, their neighborhood. Think of it as like a bouncy ball versus a soccer ball. They're really getting all of the power they put out and getting it back again. Combine that with how much force that you're putting onto the ground as your foot hits it. The average person is applying about 500 to 600 pounds of force per limb as it hits the ground. An Olympic sprinter can apply more than 1,000 pounds if they're well conditioned. And that's believed to be about the human limit. But if you just look at how well our muscles can work, we maybe can do almost twice that. And going faster really just means putting more force for every step. Your stride is going to get longer and you'll be going faster. A new study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that our muscles can actually handle way more force than we put on them. It comes to how quick the muscle fibers can contract, and that's how much power you can get out of it. And we don't use all of the power that our muscles have. A lot of people talk about we only use 10% of our brains. That's actually crap. But we aren't using all of our muscles. Faster muscle fiber contraction equals quicker force applied. That affects how quickly a runner's limb can apply the force and how much force they can apply. Theoretically speaking, if we could get every ounce of energy out of our muscles, humans could run 40 miles an hour. I mean, theoretically. There'd be a lot would have to go right for that to happen. It's the perfect scenario, and that doesn't account for weight or fatigue, the shape of the runner, things like that. We're talking about literally scientific perfect scenario. I know that This has been kind of a strange topic for Test Tube Plus. I'm not the fittest person in the world, but I'm really glad that we got Amy on here to talk to us a little bit about health and fitness. Fitness makes for better human bodies, just across the board. Fitness makes for better mental health, for better quality of life. It makes us feel better about ourselves. It makes us feel better about the people around us. Remember way back in the beginning of this when we were talking about extrinsic and intrinsic systems? The intrinsic reward system is super powerful when it comes to fitness. Because as you get fitter, you feel better and you reward yourself in a positive social cycle because you just want to either maintain or feel better again and again. That doesn't mean it's addictive, but what it does mean is it's easier to be happy if you continue to try and be fit. That doesn't mean you have to be thin. It doesn't mean you have to be strong. It doesn't mean you have to run a 6-minute mile. But what it does mean is when you're active, you're going to feel better. Humans were made to be outside, running and jumping, climbing trees. That's what we were built for. It's how we evolved. And if you don't try things, if you don't get out there, maybe you could be the next Michael Phelps or Shaun White or Serena Williams or Megan Rapinoe, but maybe you're not. And that's also fine, because athleticism and fitness is about how you feel on the inside, not necessarily about how you look on the outside. They're connected, but they're not 100%. Thanks for watching Test Tube Plus, everybody. Come find me on Twitter if you want to talk about this or any of our other topics. I'm at Trace Dominguez. And let us know down in the comments what strategies you use when you work out, things that have helped you get off the couch, get into the game, and also, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your favorite super athletes, people who you think are at the top of your game? There's some really cool ones throughout history. I hope that you have some of those down in the comments for me, and I'll see you next time on Test Tube Plus.